And with even hand size, it looks like he's forced to Sonic Boom for 70, putting my Magnezone at 110, but not allowing him to take a prize. However, off that judge, as you can see in his hand, he does have a Magnezone, so he'll be able to try and come back into the game back on his turn, as long as I'm not able to retreat and knock out his Magneton. I use Junk Arm for Switch because Magnezone has 3 retreat, and he's kind of stuck with 0 energy in play. Or 0 energy on the Magnezone. Attach a second energy to my new Magnezone. And Twins. Twins is a card that I was a really big fan of, and it helped me a lot in the World Championships. It lets you search your deck for any 2 cards as long as you're losing in the game in the prize trade. It's kind of my comeback card for times where you go second or just can't catch up, and that was the goal with this. Now, I can't see what I took, but it looks like I got a rare candy to Kingdra and a magnetic draw. In retrospect, I probably should have gotten Pokemon Reversals to try and pull up his Magneton, because knocking it out would deny him access to any more Magnezones. But Kingdra can also be a really good comeback card. It has a small effect each turn. You can drop 1 damage counter on your opponent's side of the field, but in this format, 1 damage is a really big deal. It lets your Yanmegas get prizes much more easily. It also lets your Magnezones get prizes much more easily. And I think my line of thinking here was that I wanted to bring up Magnezone, Spray Splash his Yanmega, and only have to throw 1 energy in the Lost Zone to do 50 damage times 2 for Yanmega's lightning weakness. Again, in retrospect, it doesn't seem like the best idea. I was probably better off trying to cut him off from coming back, but that's why we learn, that's why we test, and that's why it's kind of nice to drop some commentary on these videos. Looks like I Junk Arm for communication. Put a Yanma back in. For a Yanmega. So now here I am either trying to snipe his Magnemite using Kingdra and Yanmega, or I can get an easy knockout on his Yanmega with my Magnezone. Either way, Kingdra lets me get prizes that I wasn't able to get otherwise, so it still is a decent card. I have all the other Horsey and Isidra, and it looks like that's what I was trying to do. I retreat, Spray Splash the Yanmega, and then Lost Burn a single energy instead of 2 for the knockout. Now you can see my prize a little bit more clearly. It actually is tied 2-2 again. Con draws. And as I said earlier, Con has the Magnezone in hand already, so he can definitely get his way back into the game. And I definitely should have used both of those Pokemon, or I should have used my Twins to get Pokemon Reversals to try and knock out his Magneton, instead of going for the easy KO with Kingdra. Con plays his Junk Arm, and he discards 2 of the useless cards in his hand for a rare candy. And this is actually even better than just playing it on the Magneton, because now he can draw more with Magnetic Draw. He draws a full 5 cards. All he needs is 1 more Magnezone to evolve his Magneton and get 2 into the game. Then he can draw a lot more and do a lot more to catch back up and start knocking my stuff out. And sure enough, he has the second Magnezone. He has 4 energy in play, so he can easily knock out my Magnezone. And he communicates back into the deck to get more things to work with. Decides to go for the Pachirisu. Now, as I said earlier, I played Jirachi instead of Pachirisu. Both cards can be used to get energy into play to throw extras of with for Magnezone's Lost Burn. The difference is, Pachirisu is a little bit more consistent. You don't have to run Psychic Energy with him. Pachirisu can also get a first turn knockout for 50 damage, winning you a game really early, but the difference is he doesn't have the other options that Jirachi gives you by being able to devolve. Kind of looks for his hand a little bit, but decides to retreat up to Magnezone. Lost Burn 3 energy to knock out my Magnezone, and now he's secured a much better position over me. because now I've got that Magnezone on the bench with 11 damage counters on it. He can be easily knocked out. He can't be charged for another 2 turns. I can't get 2 energy on him to Lost Burn right away, and even then, a 2 energy Lost Burn can't get any knockouts, so I'm in a really bad spot now. I'm really regretting not going for reversals and knocking out his benched Magneton, and that was probably the losing move for me. Even though I do have the second Twins here to play and try and come back, I'm in a really, really bad spot because I don't have any heavy power to knock any of his stuff out, and I pretty much have to try and use Kingdra's Spray Splash and Yanmega's attacks to try and deal enough damage to him to get some Jirachi Devals at the end of the game. Even then, I still have 4 prizes to take, which is going to be extremely hard. I look at the board a little bit. It looks like he's got a huge hand, so I can't play very many cards from my hand to match his size. I decide to drop the Yanma. I think I had a second Kingdra in my hand that I really wanted to play, but have to settle for Yanma because once he knocks up my Yanmega, if I don't have another attacker to bring up on my turn, then I'm just too far behind to even try and get back into the game. So I use Kingdra Prime Spray Splash on his benched Magnezone, and I attack his active one with Sonic Boom. Actions back to Khan, who's trying to check my hand size, just trying to set up a board to make sure that he can take those last 3 prizes before I take my last 4. All he needs to do is attach the 1 energy from his hand and Lost Burn 2 energy to knock out my Yanmega and give him only 2 prizes left, so he's at a much better spot than I am. Decides to go for Pokemon Collector. And off this Collector, he's looking for more Yanmas and probably Horsing just to try and set up those last easy KOs. I'm a little bit worried about the Horsey at this point because when it turns into Kingdra, all he needs is 3 turns of Spray Splashing in my benched Magnezone to get an easy KO there without even having to attack. He's only got 3 prizes left, so that's just one way for him to get one more easy prize. He drops the Yanmas, decides to attach the Rainbow active, now giving him a KO on my Yanmega. He benches the Horsey. Spends a little bit of time just evaluating the field, making sure that he's got everything that he needs, and goes for the 2 energy Lost Burn to knock out my Yanmega for 200 damage. Now he only has 2 prizes left, and I still have the 4 to take. And it's just not looking good. I draw. Now his hand size isn't as hard to match as it was for me, so I can evolve to that Kingdra and Yanmega. Attach a Jirachi to possibly devolve for knockouts later. And a Magnetic Draw. And Judge. Judge allows me to even my hand size with him, but once again, he's got 2 Magnezones to try and draw. I've got just the 1, and it's really not looking good for me. Surprisingly, his deck is not as thinned out as mine. It must be because I played the Sage's Training or kept Twinsing cards out. Just had to end up burning more resources to even try and stay in the game, while he still has a lot left. And he's got lots of ways to access that switch to retreat his active Magnezone. I can't do anything off of that Judge because our hand size is now matched, and I need to start putting damage on the board. Yanmega can only attack for 0 energy when our hands match, so I have to deal with that and try and drop damage around. Now, I know that obviously knocking out the active Magnezone seems like a really good play here, but I'm so far behind that I just have to rely on the fact that he doesn't have a switch, try and snipe around to the bench, and get KOs that way. I knock out his Horsey, and now it's 3-2. And Khan draws. He evolves to his Yanmega. attaches to the much less damaged Magnezone. And with 3 cards in hand, he's debating whether or not he wants to play them and burn more cards so that he can draw more cards, or hold them in his hand so that he can play Supporter when he gets him. He has a Pokemon Reversal, which he's not sure if he wants to play, and 2 Pokemon Collectors, which are also clogging up his hand. Right now, all he really needs to do is hit the switch to at least start moving his Magnezone out of the way, maybe taking one more prize of the Yanmega. So he does play the Reversal, flips, gets Tails, debates playing either of the 2 Collectors, and decides, looks at the discard pile one more time, but I'm pretty sure he decides to not play them and draw 4 with his Magnetic Draw. Which he does, and as you can see there, he's got the Reverse Junk Arm, and that is his easy way into the switch. Junk Arm's also great because now he can dump those Collectors, which he has 3 in his hand of now. Discards 2 of them for the switch. Looks at his board. Decides to play Collector. To get a lone Magnemite. Changes his mind. I guess he wants Pachirisu. But I'm pretty sure he puts Pachirisu back in and decides on the Magnemite. Pachirisu could allow him to attach that lightning energy from his hand onto the field, but I think he knows that with 2 Spray Splashes I could just knock it out with Yanmega, making it kind of useless. Putting down Magnemite makes me decide from a lot of different targets and probably keeps him safe. He decides to Magnetic Draw, then he plays the switch. He has 5 in hand. I think that matches my current hand size. And he decides to knock out that 11 damage Magnezone. Now him having just 1 prize left and me having 3, it's going to be really hard to come back. I'm pretty much limited to trying to bring up his benched Magnezone with a lot of damage on it, hoping that he can't retreat or switch it because it has no energy right now. And from then on, I just have to take snipe prizes for the rest of the game, putting damage around the field, probably getting a prize or 2 at Jirachi once I try and devolve. I play Sage's Training, and as you can see, my deck has been thinned a lot. It looks like there's just 1 card left in my deck. I think I had some ways to build the deck size up a little bit, like Judge and Communication, but not having much time and many resources left definitely does hurt. I flip for the Reversal and get heads, so I am going to pull up that heavy damage Magnezone and just hope that he cannot get Junk Arm or Switch. And like I said earlier, just trying to spread damage around, turn it into a few prizes for Jirachi if possible. But at this point, I'm really living on a prayer. I know that Khan hasn't used very many resources despite being so late in the game. He has 1 Junk Arm left in the deck to get that switch. And all I can really do is just spread some damage around. Now I could knock out his Yanma or Magnemite at any point, but my goal here was to put both his Magnezones at enough damage to devolve them both at Jirachi and give him trouble. But as you guys can see, had the Junk Arm and was able to do it. I really appreciate you guys watching this. I know this isn't a format that I'm completely familiar with. I haven't done match videos since Battle Roads at the very beginning of the season, so it's kind of fitting that I try and do them again at the very end of the season. This is a fun match. It was against last year's national champion, and while I hope to do well, I lost, but learned a lot from the loss. I learned about the importance of consistency. Khan's list ran 4 Magnezones, and he was able to get those out right away. Mine only ran 3, and while I was able to get those 2 Kingdras out later, it's definitely more important to get early Magnezones out than it is to get early Kingdras. I ended up altering my list to mimic some of the stuff that both him and Alex Frezza were doing, and it ended up helping me a lot. It took me all the way to 5th at this year's World Championships. Thanks guys for the games, and thank you viewers for watching. I hope that my commentary wasn't too annoying. I hope that it did help you if you're new to this game and are just trying to learn and see how a competitive match plays out. and I hope that if you were a competitive player, you could at least ignore my commentary and have a good time watching this match. I hope to get a lot more of these out in the future, and I have at least one more that I recorded on that same table against Khan's friend, Alex Frezza. Alex took top 8 at this year's U.S. National Championships, and he also beat me in round 3 at the U.S. National Championships, causing me to drop in order to preserve my rating to get into the World Championships. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you want more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.